Konbanwa! Ladies and gentlemen, come one, come all to the Shogun's tent, the show in which those that build and improve the culture are put on a pedestal, while those that destroy and pervert it are put to the sword. This is the October 28th edition of the Shogun's Tent, and I am, of course, the Bane of the Woke, the Harbinger of Inheritance, the Mad Shogun, RealAaronAlexander. I only have one...
The screen's not on.
What's up?
Oh, now it's on.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's... I got both. Anyway.
I keep forgetting. It's like 20 seconds later.
Oh, yeah, it's on a delay. But anyway. So as you can see, I only got one retainer with me. Basically, the former owner of the only bar and grill that provides free paperbacks to anyone on Lions games on Sundays. Snowman. How you doing tonight, man?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So I'm going to show you my new server so you can actually check that out. Well, it's not new, but it's my second server. Which you need to check that out. That out.
Yeah. Well, like I said, hopefully, tonight it's going to be another one of our end of the month streams, and we only had like one or two streams this month. This being the second fucking stream. That's probably
this has been a pretty crappy month this year.
Yeah, but like I said, we had sports ball streams.
Well, in terms of the show, it's been crappy, but
yeah, and of course you got Wabbajack trying to bury my fucking channel. Fuck her. Jesus Christ.
Is this not on Rumble? And honestly,
I hope if there's a way to fucking live stream on those things, believe me, I would do that.
I think there's a way.
In Rumble though, you have to pay per month. That's the problem. And I don't got the money.
Is there a way for Odyssey?
Odyssey, I'm not sure. I might have to talk to Ethan Ralph about that because he manages to get his shit streamed over on Odyssey.
Well, if you can, do it.
Yeah. But anyway, tonight we're going to talk about the SNES era of Final Fantasy games. Because last month we talked about the NES era, the genesis of the Final Fantasy series. Now, I don't know what I'm going to do for next month, but let's just say I plan to talk to a certain someone about coming on here to the tent and talking about some architecture, if you will. But hopefully I'll talk to her about that. She doesn't know about this yet, but I will DM her ASAP. So, but not looking ahead. Let's talk about some Final Fantasy shit. Starting with, I decided not to put a freaking box art for this one because I thought this would be more apropos. Yeah. One of the most infamous translations in the Final Fantasy series. Yeah. So, you still there, man?
I'm still here. I'm just waiting on the screen.
Oh.
You know, like I said, it's taking like 20 minutes.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know why. I don't know why there's a fucking delay in YouTube. Maybe that's probably part of the reason why I'm not getting any views. But
yes, Spoony Bob.
Yeah, Final Fantasy IV. I believe this. It is sort of the start of the golden era of the Final Fantasy of. I think that's what launched SquareSoft's golden era. All right, and
oh yeah.
But it did. But the funny thing about this title is, it's got one hell of a fucking story with this in the background, because as we talked about last month, they're planning on putting together Final Fantasy II here in America on the NES. Unfortunately, one thing got in the way. It's 1991. Guess what came out that year?
Super Nintendo.
Exactly. And it was a worldwide release, and one of the first titles that came out of the gate for that system in Japan was Final Fantasy IV. Now keep in mind they were about a year removed from its third title, and and it came to the point where Square Enix no, not Square Enix at the time. It was SquareSoft. I always keep forgetting.
Yeah.
I'm so used to calling them
Yeah,
Square
the
Enix.
bad years came when Squaresoft sold, either bought out Enix or sold out to Enix. I don't know which.
I think it was a flat out merger because there was a certain film that came out around the early 2000s, The Spirits Within.
Yeah, Final Fantasy film.
It really fucked up their budget.
What the fuck were they thinking?
They should have done Advent Children around that time. That's my only argument there.
It was like, is it Final Fantasy? Is it fantasy or is it sci-fi?
Yeah, I don't know what kind of a hashish was Hironobu Sakaguchi was smoking.
Where's the elemental fiends?
Yeah, but anyway, Final Fantasy IV was sort of a turning point in the series. The bad news was the job system was gone, and now you're pretty much left with sort of I would say narrative characters. This is where I think narrative came into form with the series.
Well, yes, and you know what? As much as I like the job system, I love the narrative characters much more.
Yeah, exactly. Because, like I said, the characters before Final Fantasy IV, well, they were pretty freaking bland. I mean, the closest you could have gotten was Final Fantasy II, but even the writing back then was very rudimentary.
Yeah.
I mean,
Final Fantasy II was the only Nintendo era Final Fantasy games that actually had any character death.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
The other games, as much as I love Final Fantasy 1, because it feels like your own personal party, let's face it, it's D&D the game.
Yep. So, Final Fantasy IV actually is their first foray into actually doing an actual story. Now, the funny thing about this title was, well, in Japan they pretty much, it was released to a lot of fanfare. It was solid. Unfortunately, here in the States, we got shortchanged two ways. You see, they released two versions of Final Fantasy in Japan. Your standard version, and then there's something called Easy Type, which dummied out a lot of the items from the game. The problem was, here in the States, all we got was fucking Easy Type.
Because Final Fantasy IV was missing a lot of features.
Exactly. It was
the States.
At the time, we didn't know, but it was incomplete. All right? We didn't get a complete version until like a decade later or something, you know. And you had to go into emulation to even get to play the completed version of the 16-bit game.
Good luck getting emulation.
That time around the late 90s, you could, no problem. It was easy enough to get.
Yeah, but we're talking about the year 1991.
Yeah, the internet wasn't even a thing then. All right, but the closest thing you have to do is you have to import the cartridge from the Japanese cartridge, and I don't think it'll play on any American Super NES console. So you might have to bring the fucking the Super Famicom with it, and hopefully find a fucking plug adapter. And the second way that American audiences got screwed. Have you seen the translation to this fucking game?
I think the image says alone, "You spoony bard." This was
like to call Terabad translation. This is like Terabad translations. It was so Terabad. It was good. It became one of the first memes of the series. So, and the funny thing is, in all subsequent translations of this game, all subsequent versions, they kept that fucking line because it was such meme fodder.
Yeah, not the line. You had to keep it.
Yeah,
it's the one that is known throughout everything.
Yeah, but that's the tip of the iceberg. I played the hell out of Final Fantasy IV when I was a kid. Back when I was Final Fantasy II. I think I mentioned that, right? I mentioned it was also my first Final Fantasy game I've ever played.
Oh, it was my first Final Fantasy game, too.
Yeah. But, the translation was awful! It was like, who the fuck translated this thing? Now, the thing here is, I want to get rid of, I want to go a little bullshit hunt here. Because there's a lot of people that said that, this was the first example of Ted Woolsey translation. Not true. That was not, because I believe this Ted Woolsey was not involved with this game at all. But but what happened was I think a lot of the Japanese script writers, well, they didn't have a good grasp of the English language. And it's
like other side of the world.
Yeah.
How could they?
Yeah. In 1991, and not only that, I think their American branch they basically had a bunch of ham and eggers trying to translate it, and their translation was like awful. Okay, I mean they made the best of what they got, and the translation was a mess.
Oh yeah.
Ugh.
But moving on for translation, because I don't want to be like, an hour talking about translations.
Yeah, we'll be talking more about translation when we get to 6, because there's a certain guy that we've already mentioned. Yeah, we're gonna be talking more about Ted Woolsey when we get to 6, but other than that, I really like this game. This is one of my childhood favorites. And it also showed me the first rule of RPGs. Grind. And the funny thing is, even in original recipe Final Fantasy IV, you didn't really have to do much grinding. Just don't run away from every fucking fight.
Yeah, I did a lot of grinding.
Yeah.
When I found out I had to grind, I did a lot of grinding.
Yep. And of course, the game gets easier if you grind. So.
Who knew?
Yeah, but luckily, out of the original, I'm surprised. Out of the original SNES trilogy, this game gets a lot of love because I expected 6 to get all the remakes and fan translations and all the freaking supplemental shit. But this one got a lot of supplemental shit.
Well, to be fair, on Final Fantasy VI, what are you going to do when all the world basically destroyed its magic?
Yeah, good point. But in 4, there was a supplemental game that came out, I think around, about 10 years ago? Around that time? It was Final Fantasy IV: The After Years. I played most of it, and I'll just say this. I think it was too. It felt like fan fiction, in my opinion. I mean,
so it didn't feel like a pretty good expansion pack, but
it was serviceable, but
it felt like wish fulfillment.
Yeah, I mean, I like the fact that they added some weird story elements, considering that there was another moon or some shit like that. But like I said, I mean, even though the band system was a little bit confusing, okay, because it felt like it tried to copy Chrono Trigger and Saga Frontier. And I thought,
at this point, I just wish they stick to a formula.
yeah, and of course,
Or
that's
just stick with Final Fantasy IV formula,
mm-hmm. I
which
mean,
is
they
you get specific party members, each with their own skill set, and they come and go.
yeah. I mean, they did this. They did that sort of with the after years, but also keep in mind, at the time of its release, it was an episodic release. So you didn't get the complete game until like what, a couple months after the first episode or something.
That sounds stupid.
Yeah, it's even stupider since now they're doing the same thing with 7. Why the fuck would you do that?
And they changed much of the story elements of 7.
Yeah, but like I said, of course there's some fanboys that like to make all these excuses, say, but it's too big of a game. That's not an excuse.
You can hear me press B for bullshit.
Yeah, no shit, man. But still, getting back to 4
and they
here.
shoved their action system over there, which I felt like, what was wrong with the original fucking Final Fantasy VII system?
Yeah, no shit. It
played more
like
graphical Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, this felt like a reskin of 15.
All you had to do,
not to say 15 was a bad
put
game.
the graphics engine in and keep it as Final Fantasy VII as you possibly can.
Exactly. I mean, it's not
the
freaking hard.
Is perfect.
Yeah, it's not freaking hard.
Now you're playing as in Final Fantasy VII Part 1, and now you can't play as the Red Lion dude? What the fuck?
You can't play as Red 13. Well, I think Red 13. Yeah. Like I said, it felt like a reskin of 15. And again, I'm not saying 15's a bad game, but why cop? Why? I mean, I like the only thing good about that remake so far is the character models. I'm glad they didn't uglify Aerith and Tifa. In fact, I think they improved on Tifa's design.
Well, I heard rumors they gave Tifa breast reduction.
Yeah, that can be fixed in PC mods. You know that's coming.
True, but I'm just saying, that's fucking annoying.
It's very annoying. I mean, Japan doesn't have that modern audience crap happening, but it's starting to get infected by that shit.
So far. I heard they're starting accepting that shit.
Oh yeah, it's starting to turn to. Yeah, you know why, right? Because they're getting their ass kicked by the West, so now they're gonna try to Trojan horse their way to victory. That's disgusting.
Yeah, Japan. If there's any Japanese listeners, tell your leaders, don't fucking take in the West.
Dude, yeah, don't. Yeah,
Look,
really.
Marvel and DC, they're failures because they went for this woke shit.
Yeah, Hollywood failures.
They went woke. They too went woke. Now they're both broke.
Exactly, and not only
They're both drained. I will not be surprised to see DC shut down for good within a year. I would not be surprised. I'm not saying they're going to shut down within a year, but I would not be surprised.
Me neither. And besides, I also think, and all of a sudden you got Hollywood being completely worthless. I mean, yeah, you have some science pangs of greatness like Ghostbusters Afterlife coming out next month, but it's diamond in an ocean of shit at this point.
It is,
and it's even got to
all that's left is a bunch of money.
The only and now you got freaking and now it's got to the point where now you're not following firearm safety protocols. We'll be talking about that next week.
Oh God.
Well, but getting back on point here,
yes.
But all in all, I think Final Fantasy IV I think it's a game that started out good, but it's grown on the fan base in recent years, especially with the remakes. And they had the 3D remake that came out, I believe, about a few years ago. I mean, it came out for DS, but it was a different game. That's another thing. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. I mean, it was...
Yeah, wasn't Final Fantasy IV the last game that used the 4 elemental fiends?
Yeah. Well, actually, yeah, I believe so. I mean, unless you don't count the MMOs, but
Well, I'm not really counting MMO. Sorry.
yeah. But like I said, it's a great story. You should definitely try it out. I would recommend play the PSP version. In my opinion, that's the definitive version for me.
Well, yeah, because it had everything in it.
It got everything in it.
And
You don't.
everything that the Game Boy Advance has,
Yeah.
and so much more.
Yeah, and you don't. And I'm sorry, the 3D shit in the 3D shit. I'm sorry, it was clunky. I know it was designed for the 3DS, but it looked clunky. It looked like PS1 shit.
I still don't get why do they have to make all the characters chibi?
Yeah, that's what I don't get. But like
You
I
have
said,
3D technology. You can make them look like the fucking art on the covers.
yeah, Final Fantasy 3.
Would that be cool to have a Final Fantasy game where you literally play as characters on the cover?
Mm-hmm.
Like the entire art style is just cover art.
Yeah, it made sense what you're doing the DS version of Final Fantasy 3, and I'll even go as far as to say it looked better. The 3 on the DS looked better than 4 on the fucking DS, in my opinion. But anyway, that's neither here nor there. Let's move on. Move on to this one. Woo! This one's a curious case right here. We did not get this game until '99, but it came out in '92 in Japan. They brought back the job system in this game. And
You're talking about Final Fantasy V?
Yep. They brought out pretty much the best of 3 and the best of 5, and it came out pretty good. Of course, at that point, even though it was 1992, the graphics seemed a little dated. Have you noticed that? I mean, going back to play the original SNES release, for 1992, the graphics looked a little dated.
Well, by the time I got to PlayStation, they're probably like, yeah,
No,
whatever.
I'm not talking about PlayStation. I'm talking about when it came out, because one of the only downsides of Final Fantasy IV was I felt like they made this game for the NES, but they had to update most of the sprites for 16-bit, and they basically did the same thing with 5. I mean, granted, this is 1992, but still, you could do better than that. I mean, some of these sprites they look like they still look like facelifts from Final Fantasy 3.
Well, besides the pixel art, which, yeah, okay, fair point. I have to say, it's still a pretty good Final Fantasy game.
It was, all things considered. I mean,
you go through 4 different worlds.
3.
You go through the original world.
3. It was 3, not 4. 3.
Well, I count the merge world as.
It's a third world. Well, here's what happens. There's like 3 acts of the game. The first one you go through the original world. Then in the second part, then the second act 2 you go through Galuf's world, and then an incident merges the 2 for Act 3.
Yeah, but don't you go through the X-Plane, which is its own world?
The extra dimensional rift or whatever it's called. I mean, there are so many fucking names for this thing. It was first called the Klepta Dimension, then it was called the End Zone, then it became interdimensional. There were so many freaking names for that final dungeon. It's like, pick one.
Oh, Okay, so it was his own dungeon, but still.
Yeah, it's technically in technical terms it was, but it's not like you travel into.
It didn't feel like its own world because it felt more like a dungeon.
Yeah, it's not like what you call it. It's not like what Dragon.
It's not like back in Final Fantasy IV where you explore the moon.
Or Dragon Quest V. Dragon Quest V had an example of sort of the final dungeon being its own fucking world map. But we're not talking about Dragon Quest. But you get the idea. But
yeah, I have noticed something. All the Super Nintendo Final Fantasy worlds, they had more than 5. I mean, they had more than one world to explore.
Yeah, pretty much. That's like a running theme. I mean, it started in 3 actually with the floating continent and then the rest of the world. But yeah, you had in Final Fantasy IV you had the world, you had the overworld, the underworld, and the moon, and then in this one you had 3. You had one world, the next world, and them merged together. And we'll talk about when we talk about 6. We'll get around to talk about that when we get to 6. But the job system, I felt, was an improvement over 3.
Well, yeah, they had more experiences with the job system, and you know what to do and what to drop.
Yeah, and unlike in 3, they don't have like that fucking super class or some shit like that. Like ninja basically is your ultimate melee attack, your sage is the ultimate magic attack, etc. No, they didn't have that in 5, and they didn't need it because as you learn,
classes were meant to be good.
Yeah, and as you learn some certain classes, you gain abilities you can use in other classes. Like say if you want someone who's pure magic, here's what you do. You level up your white and black mage to its maximum, and then you have like a freelancer class which you start as. Later in the game, you just go back to freelancer class and just pick out your freaking abilities. It was highly customizable. It was a like I said, sheer improvement over the original.
Yeah, it's a max of class. They actually improved the freelancer class.
They did. It was basically your freelancer class was basically your wild card class. Take everything you've learned from what you've done throughout the game, and then put it back to freelancer, and boom.
So if I have person, and this is towards the Game Boy Advance version because I got that.
Mm-hmm.
How come the spell class are so easy to level up, but the melee classes are like, oh, to learn this one move, you have to do like 150 battles.
Yeah, no shit.
Oh, to learn all these spells, you must do like 30 battles for level 3 magic. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, I mean, it's sort of kind of, yeah, it's like trying to reminds me of like Final Fantasy 2's leveling system. But
Leap Fighter versus multi-mage.
Mm-hmm.
What the?
Yeah.
You made a classical D&D mistake.
Yeah, no shit.
Either the fighter is quick to learn, so he goes through his skill tree faster,
Uh-huh.
or obviously there's things you need to tweak with the job system even here, but it's much more improved than Final Fantasy 3.
Oh, by leaps and bounds. By leaps and bounds. But
I think Bravery Default is improving on that.
oh, I've never played Bravely Default. I need to try that out, but like I said.
I played the demo. I need to get 1 and 2.
Yeah. But
Thing is, God, I hope they port the 1 and Bravery Default expansion. I think it is whatever.
Uh-huh.
Because the series has 3 games, which is Bravery Default, then Bravery Default Encore or whatever,
Mm-hmm.
and then they have the Bravery Default 2.
Yeah.
So God help me, they stuck with chibi art.
Oh boy. Yeah. Oh, Coops is
I
on.
hate chibi art. I guess this is why I'm more of an Octopath Traveler fan. Because, yeah, it looks like Super Nintendo graphics, but at least it's not chibi.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't get it. What's the whole addiction? The whole inspiration for chibi. I think they're trying to cut down. They're trying to cut down on assets or something like that. They're trying. I mean, I understand if you're trying to save on overhead, but sometimes you don't.
If you're gonna make a game worth $60, the characters better look good. And
Exactly.
chibi never looks good.
It doesn't. It may do well for like a AA title or a budget title, but
Well,
yeah.
budget titles I can understand. It was like $10. Oh, okay, that's acceptable.
Uh-huh.
I'm not expecting much.
Yeah, really.
Fuck, I don't even complain about $5 stick figures.
Yeah, no shit.
But that said, if I'm paying $60, look, I'm gonna say this. I'm gonna say this right now.
Mm-hmm.
The best character art that I've seen are from the Breath of Wild series and Chrono Trigger.
Oh yeah.
I mean, yeah, because okay, in Breath of Fire, at least I can say for number 2 and number 1, yeah, the characters look small, but once you get to the battle, they're full characters. They're not chibi. They're actually illustrated well.
Mm-hmm.
They're pixelated well. They look awesome. My main healer in number 2, which is the giant armadillo dude, that dude's massive compared to the other characters. He's huge.
Mm-hmm.
And Cat, who's basically, well, as you expect, a Nico, aka Catwoman, damn, she looks fine.
I know.
And
Yes.
Nina looks like the perfect angel sorceress. Just flat out perfect, man. And
Yeah.
of course, bringing in Chrono Trigger, what you see them at the map as they explore the dungeons and areas, they exactly look like that when you get into the fights. And Squaresoft made that. If they figured out how to do that, why can't they do that for their other games?
Well, you gotta understand that at some point in the past with SquareSoft, they got a little lazy. In fact, you gotta keep in mind around that there was a period where the Japanese industry got a little lazy. Yeah, the Western half was firing all cylinders, but now the situation's reversed because they realized they had to rethink what they're doing and while the Western industry went woke, but I haven't talked about the story about Final Fantasy V. Getting back to this, because, well, I don't think the story wasn't. I think this was the weakest of the trilogy, in my opinion. But compared to the original 3 on the NES, it was still pretty strong.
Well, I gotta agree with that because, let's face it, 4 had narrated characters.
Mm-hmm.
They had their own beliefs, they had their own needs, wants, desires. They were like fully fledged out human beings.
Yeah.
6, they did an even better job.
Yeah. 5, I felt they concentrated too much on the technical aspect of it, which isn't bad. Again, this job system was really damn good, but half of the characters were as interesting as dishwater. Bards, I felt, really a generic adventurer.
Yeah, he was definitely generic.
Yeah, he was boilerplate. Lena wasn't interesting. Ferris was somewhat interesting.
Yeah,
Yeah.
though not much.
Yeah, the fact that...
I mean, I gotta tell you, it's basically Hero and the princess was basically the heart of the team.
Mm-hmm.
Farrah was basically the rogue. And the Guts, what's his name? Guts?
Gallop.
I forgot.
Gallop. And the thing here was, in my opinion,
Yeah,
Gallop
he was supposed to be the sage, right? He was supposed to be the wise guy.
Yeah, and the thing is, Gallop out of that party was had the most interesting arc. I mean, shit, should have made him the main
he was
character.
one of the original 4 heroes that actually defeated the first evil.
Yeah, and you know what they did midway through the fucking game?
Oh, he died.
They killed him off. That was a big pet peeve of mine. The only interesting character you got, only interesting playable character you got, you killed him.
It really should have been in his story.
I believe so. He should have survived. I mean, Kryl in my opinion, was such a fucking generic replacement.
But I'm just gonna say this. If anyone should have been the protagonist of that story, it should have been either the princess or Gallop.
Yeah, Leonard or Gallop.
At least the princess has a goal.
Yeah. Bards was like...
Which is basically search for her father.
Yeah. Bards was basically...
Gallop would have been serving as the wise figure, the leader to her father, because he was part of the team.
Exactly.
That whole initial plot pissed me off.
Yeah. I thought Gallop should have been the freaking main guy and survived the whole thing. Bards felt like, okay, I'm just running around on my goddamn chocobo, then all of a sudden, some meteor crashed. Oh god, what am I getting pulled into? I mean, if they're trying to emulate North by Northwest, they did a really shitty job with it.
Though, I got a question.
What?
Is that the American cover, or is that the official Japanese?
That's the Japanese cover.
Aw, man.
Yeah.
What did the American cover look like? I'm just curious.
Final Fantasy V never got a Super NES release, remember?
Oh yeah.
But
I thought it came out later on PS PlayStation.
It did,
yeah,
but it was a boilerplate cover. Final Fantasy V here in the States never got a legitimate cover. But 4 and 5's box art. I didn't show 4's box art, but
I'll show 4 box art.
Yeah, hold on a second.
Because this cover right here is lame as fuck.
Yeah. Well, 4's Japanese box art, it wasn't any better. Because at that point,
Why?
all right, I'll show you the box art to 4 here.
Trinidad wasn't around, but you could easily pay him $200 and he would give you a better cover than this.
No shit. But yeah, I'll just go ahead and show you this. I'll go ahead and add this because I want y'all to see this. The cover art at this time in the series, it was boilerplate as a motherfucker. I'll show you what I'm talking about here. Here we go. Here, I'm trying to. Yeah, hold on. Yeah, this is what the cover art looked like for Final Fantasy IV. Yeah, you should see it in a few seconds. You see that?
Oh, fuck.
Boilerplate as a motherfucker.
Ah.
What was Square thinking at the time?
What the fuck?
Like
I think the American cover looks better than that.
yeah, the American cover looks a lot better, even though.
Show the American cover.
Yeah, I will. Hold on, let me fix this out then.
That's chibi trash, man.
Yeah, it's garbage.
The only thing that looks good was the Chocobo.
Yeah.
Oh, and the title. Because the title, they actually put effort into the character.
Yeah, like I said, yeah, it was boilerplate as shit. So let me change. I'll just go ahead and change the source of this. Because yeah, the Japanese box art looked boilerplate as all hell. But here.
And I feel like how Spoony felt with basically Ultima 9.
Oh, that.
Fail. You betrayed me.
Yeah, it was an actual fucking betrayal here. Well, I'm trying to get this.
Well, I should say that for like Final Fantasy X2.
Yeah, well, there was some things to like about 10-2, but yeah, it was too fan servicey.
But
it was called,
holy shit.
Yeah, it's called fan service. It's fan service the game. Nothing wrong with fan service, but
Fan service actually present an actual good plot and good characters.
yeah, really.
Okay, all I see is a red screen.
Yeah. I got a real high quality image from here, but you know the funny thing is, out of all places, I got this from fucking NeoGAF. Ugh.
Oh god, you have to shrink it.
Yeah, but yeah.
I can start seeing the sword.
I thought this box art was a lot better.
Oh, there it is. Yes, it is better.
The only problem with
Doesn't
it.
insult my intelligence.
The only problem with it, it was 2, not 4. But at the time, it made sense.
But back then, they were trying to fool the Americans.
Yeah, because
they had the name of Final Fantasy 2 because they're like, well, we didn't bring out 2 and 3.
Yeah.
So we can't call it.
Yeah, no
But
shit.
I love how the sword is actually baiting the teeth.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that raw diamond. I think that was the legendary sword. Or
Yeah, the crystal sword, you mean? Or yeah, the sword that was given to you over at Mount Ordeals.
Yep, and then when you combine that with a certain mineral, it becomes an even more powerful version of itself.
Yeah, it becomes the Excalibur. Yeah. But anyway, getting back to this now, I do want to before we press on with 5 here, I also want to show you something that I also found on that trash of a site. I mean, luckily there were some gems. There was a couple diamonds in the rough I found on this one. Now, if they released Final Fantasy V here in the States, here's an idea what their box art would have looked like. Or should look like, at least.
Hopefully not chibi.
It wouldn't be chibi, definitely not. This was it. It's a custom, but believe me, they would have continued on with this aesthetic, because they did so with 6 for the American version.
Oh, you see, that looks good too.
Yeah. If they released,
obviously they can change it because it feels like a copy paste, but
yeah, it did. But if you looked at 6's box art here in the States, you could see it's sort of a natural evolution of it. Although they probably would have called that one 3.
well, yeah, they did call 6 3.
Yeah. But if they released 5 here in the States, it would have been called 3, and 6 would have been called 4.
Yeah.
Thank God they changed that shit when 7 came around.
Oh yeah. By that point, they were actually getting shit proper order.
Mm-hmm. Well, but like,
man, I wish we would have had like some month in the future to talk about that.
yeah.
I mean, the 3 PlayStation games.
Yeah. Now, Final Fantasy V. Now, we gotta talk about the villain, because I think this guy doesn't get any respect whatsoever, and he deserved a bit more, in my opinion. X-Death, the homicidal timber himself.
The Tree of Evil.
Yeah. Now, oddly enough, he was the only interesting character in the game.
Yeah, why did he want to destroy the world anyways?
Well, he I think he didn't want to destroy the world. He wanted to bring everything into the void. And what he did, his aim was, he controls the void was a source of ultimate power. And I think a branch in the forest became, god damn it, hold on. Let me check the Final Fantasy wiki, because a lot of people are still confused by his motives.
Well, yeah, I think he had more death than the Final Fantasy II villain.
Yeah, no shit. Well, well, if you're talking about Zemus, yes. If you're talking about Golbez, no.
Well, I'm talking about the original Final Fantasy II.
Oh, Marius.
Yeah, I think X-Death had more depth than that guy.
Yeah, so... Okay, here's what I'm reading for. Basically, after the malicious warlock king Enuo was defeated and the void was sealed away, humans turned to an alternative solution to purge their land of corruption and terror. The Great Forest of Moor provided a solitary prison for these malevolent souls, and they were sealed within a tree. Many other monsters were drawn to the forest, making it the most dangerous place on the Second World. 500 years prior to the events of the game, the various souls residing within the tree made itself aware and assumed human form, a being as evil as the many souls that had spawned him, and X-Death was born. The sage Guido sealed him away and maintained it for 470 years before the seal broke. So, basically... Remember Arden Azunian from 15?
Yeah. I haven't played 15.
Same shit with this, with X-Death.
He's basically a combination of all the evil souls.
Mm-hmm.
He's Legion.
So, he's basically Legion. X-Death had a castle built upon one of the continents and laid siege upon the kingdoms of the world. The warriors of Dawn, Galuf, Zizat, Kelger, and Dorgan followed X-Death to an alternate dimension where X-Death was defeated and sealed using the power of the crystals within a cave in the forest of the eastern continent. Dorgan feared the seal wouldn't last and stayed behind while the other 3 warriors returned to their world. Dorgan fell in love with a woman named Stella, blah, da, 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 da. Basically, you talk about Bards' his origin story. And basically, he wanted to continue his reign of terror. So basically, he was doing it for the evils because this guy was sort of the legion of all the evils in the world, and decided to weaponize the void to sort of basically.
Well, the chief is it.
Yeah, exactly.
Because it was basically every fucking evil.
Mm-hmm. Now, in the post-game version of Final Fantasy V, which I believe they released it for the PC. I have it. I don't think they're doing it for the Pixel remaster, but and oddly enough, I think the Pixel remaster came out today. But in the post-game content for the I believe the PC version, they went a little bit down in the lore with Final Fantasy V, to the point where you do fight Enuo.
Enuo.
Yeah, Enuo.
That came with a question.
Yeah. Yeah, like I said, he appeared as a super boss in Final Fantasy V Advance. So the post-game content came with the advanced version. So
Who is Indio?
Enyo was the warlock king that basically tried to use the void for his own ends, and they stopped him by splitting the world in two.
Oh, so this is the boss behind the boss.
Pretty much. And like I said, in the starting in the advanced version, and I believe in the PC version, you get to fight him. You actually
so
fight.
I'm just gonna say this.
Yeah.
You know what'd be cool?
Hmm.
They make a Final Fantasy V prequel where you play as the original 4 heroes.
Yeah, that would have been pretty interesting. I mean, I'm surprised Square Enix hasn't gotten around to that, but they got their own pet projects.
Yeah, and they also need to make a sequel because you know how hard to kill X Death is.
Yeah, no shit. But
I have a feeling he's going to come back.
Yeah. Now, overall, Final Fantasy V from a technical standpoint, from a gameplay standpoint, it was very good. It was a major improvement over 4. Problem
the only
is,
downside is the pixels, and it wasn't as in-depth with the character.
They sacrificed the story for the gameplay. And like I said, it's not bad. But it felt like it regressed to some of the NES era when it came for story-wise.
But is it really that bad? It's just not great.
Yeah, it wasn't the total package. I mean, gameplay-wise, it was fucking amazing. But like I said, everything else, I'd rather read Twilight.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, still a great game though. You should check it out. Just get someone.
I'll play it.
But what I would like to see though is have someone redo the re-script the entire story.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to be known as like, oh my god, the Pirate Queen was in fact a fucking woman the entire time? Shock of shocks.
Yeah, really. I think, yeah.
I'm looking at it like, how ugly does she have to be to look like a man?
Yeah.
Or B, how stupid are these people?
No shit. I mean, I get it because in Japan they had there's a little thing called Bishonen where you have like guys that look like women basically. I mean, they're like one step above trap. If you get what I mean.
Oh, I just call those pretty boys.
Yeah.
Pretty boys. Yeah, being pretty boy does not win you a lot of respect in the United States.
Nope. I mean, Japan, they don't really give a fuck, but here, well, you do have Bugman, so, yeah.
Well, yeah, in America, we prefer the manly men.
Yeah. Now we're getting
you
out.
Better be into Conan.
Yeah.
You better be into He-Man.
Mm-hmm.
You better be into Cole.
Yeah, we don't mean, and by He-Man, we don't mean the Kevin Smith version.
Oh God, no.
Ugh. So anyway, now we get to the best of the trilogy.
And this deserves its own hour because it's that good.
Oh yes. And here's the box art this is the Japanese box art. A lot fucking better.
Come on.
Stupid delay.
Don't give me this like bullshit. Just show me the image.
I love the Japanese box art to this. I'm surprised they haven't reused it in some of the re-releases. The Valkyrie we got, it was a bit serviceable. It had Mog in the cover. I'm not going to show it because I don't want to waste time, because what I want to do was, we're going to be talking about this quite in depth here.
Oh man, the imagery. Now, this is a game that deserves its own remake.
Oh, definitely. Okay. I'm talking
So,
with
unlike how they done with Final Fantasy VII, I would have still kept the system, but you would have been able to explore the towns and cities more.
Yeah.
Like, I know it starts with a V, but the capital city of the Empire, that needs to be shown.
Oh, Vec, yeah.
It needs to show all the factory works, the clockwork, machinery. If this was Fantasy World War I, this would have been it. Or Fantasy World War II, this would have been it.
It's more akin to World War I, because you know where I think they got the inspiration for the Empire. I think they got the inspiration for the Empire from Germany under Bismarck.
But still, this is like Fantasy World War I.
Pretty much. And I think it's so beloved, but I think the closest we've got to this recreation was 14 with Garlemald. But because if you played 14,
well, yeah, they had. I never played 14, but I heard they used Magitech.
It's basically the Garlemald Empire is a carbon copy of the Empire from 6. But I think that's the
only big difference is, well, they can't use magic and everyone else can. And in Final Fantasy VI, no one else can use magic as well. So you know how really lopsided everything was in terms of power.
Yep.
The Allied Alliance was losing. The Allied powers were losing.
Yep. And like I said, in Final, it was more like steampunk. We're talking like turn of the century technology. It's like right before the release of the automobile. So if you're talking about how it's set in the time frame in relation to our world, Final Fantasy VI, I would say, would probably be late 1800s, sort of going into early 1900s
or early 1910s.
I wouldn't say early 1910s because that.
Well, the thing is, World War I happened in the 1910s.
Yeah, that's true. We're talking about around the cusp of that. We're talking like, I would say Germany's high watermark, because I think by the time World War I happened, Germany was starting. A lot of the things they were doing, they're starting to bite Germany in the ass. But turn of the century Germany, that was their high watermark, and I think that's where they got the inspiration for the world right there. So,
but like I said, this game kicks so much ass.
Oh, definitely. And I mean, the character designs have improved, the sprite designs have improved. They basically took everything that was wrong with 4 and 5, a lot of the shortcomings, and they basically addressed them.
And the pixel art is so much better.
Yeah. Now, they don't have the job system like they did in 5, but
at this point they didn't need the job system.
They didn't need it because when you start getting espers, that's when the game starts getting real interesting.
That was the job system.
That was closest you got to it because your job system.
The point was, you had everyone with technology or special maneuvers and all that, but the real deal game changer was magic. Yeah. If you had magic, you basically won already.
Yeah. The
With Empire's Magic Tech, like I said, that fucking Central Powers were winning.
Yeah. Now here's the
And
problem.
they were winning big time.
Yeah.
Germany was ass raping everyone.
Pretty much. Now, as I was saying, when you the only weakness of this game, and this is, I would say, if someone was trying to delve deep into the mechanics of this game, one can easily min-max the characters. Oof.
Well, yeah, if you get grimy, you're gonna min-max.
Yeah. Because a lot of people tend to decide, okay, I'll just use every Esper and everything, blah da 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 da, get every spell in the game, turn all my party into a goddamn nuke. And then the final boss, it becomes a joke. Yeah, the ultimate spell was a fucking game breaker. If you got the ultimate spell on at least 4 or 5 party members, you win.
Fuck, imagine if you got it on all your characters, even the bonus characters.
Yeah.
Have that guy mimic all the fucking ultimate spells. Oh god.
Yeah. You get X, especially if you get like X. I think I don't know what that spell is called. I think it's called a gem box or something like that, or whatever the fuck it's called. But there was a relic in the game, and that's another thing I want to add. Relic. This is the first time they added like relics. Like they were accessories, yeah. but they're more interchangeable.
Awesome at this.
Oh yeah.
Each one did something different.
Yeah. And there's a few that were OP as a motherfucker.
I started replaying the first Final Fantasy VI for the Game Boy Advance.
Mm-hmm.
Already, I got my party. We haven't went to the Mount Fuji yet. That basically sees the Sable.
Oh, you mean Colts? Mount Colts?
Yeah. I was mixing Final Fantasy games. Mount Fuji is in Final Fantasy IV.
No, there was no Mount Fuji in front. There was 2 mountains in 4, Hobbs and Ordeals.
I'm just thinking, where did I get Mount Fuji from?
Well, Mount Fuji only exists in Japan.
I'm mixing mountains. I'm sorry.
Yeah, but you also have what you call it? I didn't notice until later on that some of the espers, you get like stat buffs, right? And when I go back and replay them, I basically play them up of trying to utilize their stat buffs to make at least their physical attacks sting a bit more. But the thing here is, there are some relics in the game in which they are OP as shit. And the first one you get is the Genji glove.
Yep.
You get to dual wield with that shit.
Yep.
And then I think after a certain optional area, you go into.
By the way, the only person that can naturally dual wield is Shadow.
I don't know if he can naturally dual wield because I
you can do it 2 weapons at once.
Yeah.
But he's the only one that can actually naturally do that. Everyone else had to actually equip the Genji gloves.
Yeah. Now, that's the first of many OP relics you can get. The second OP relic is something called Offering. You get it after doing an optional area in the second half of the game. What Offering does is you can attack 4 times. Pair that shit with the Genji glove and the best swords in the game.
Oh yeah.
1-hit boss kill on most of them.
Prepare to cheap.
Yeah.
So my favorite combo: invisible, and then death.
Yeah. There's a lot of glitches in this game that people still talk about today, and a lot A lot of weird moments and shit like that. Of course, we talk about one of these moments. A certain part in the game where you go on a train.
Oh.
You face said train, and if you learn a certain blitz attack from Sabin, you could suplex the fucking train.
Dude, Sabin's where at. So,
That's another meme.
Fire combat maneuvers suck ass.
Yeah.
So I can never really do his special techniques.
Yeah.
I mean, I could do the first one, which is basically back, forward, back.
Oh yeah, pummel. Yeah. I think you'd probably do a lot better if you had like a thumbstick with using that. I think it's better.
I'm just saying, my ability to pull off combos sucks ass.
Yeah. You could pull it off better with the thumbstick, but with the D-pad, forget it.
Well, the thing is, and this isn't anything against Sable. This is against how his techniques are used.
Oh,
because
Sabin.
when you're playing a Final Fantasy game,
Yeah.
you don't think bringing in a joystick so you can pull out Street Fighter moves.
No shit. I mean, you play Street Fighter 2,
and then you see the action.
Yeah, you play Street Fighter 2 when you're for SNES. It was a good game, but the problem is trying to get the Hadouken and all the and a lot of some of the special moves with all these button combinations. It was hell on the fucking D-pad. But if you had a fucking joystick, boom, you're good. I don't know what.
Yeah, like, man,
I don't know what.
It really discouraged me from playing those games. I'm like, fuck, I suck.
Yeah, I don't know what Square was thinking at the time. I think they probably wanted to cash in. They wanted to do a little cash in on that shit.
See, that would be the first thing. If I was going to do any major changes, that would be the first one.
Yeah, I mean, just have a fucking select. Just have a typical select screen, all right? I don't want to deal with these fucking
combos really easy.
Yeah, I don't want to deal with some gimmicky ass button pushing. Yeah, but like I said, each of the characters, it was pretty unique. I mean, you had two characters that were specialized in magic, right? Terra and Celeste.
Oh man. Both ladies were awesome.
Yeah, especially Celeste, especially when you're dealing with some magic enemies. You have a ability that would
save my life.
Yeah, but the problem is,
it's pretty useful in that.
Yeah,
Magi Tower in Second World.
Yeah, problem though is when you get around to the second half of the game, I personally thought that ability becomes redundant. Pretty much more of a hindrance than a tool, because half your party member at least learns magic, and that's the problem. If any of your party members cast magic while she's got that up, it ain't gonna happen.
Oh, yeah. She should have. She should have had a quest of her own, where she either improved on Runic, or she goes out and actually gets a new ability.
Yeah.
But I'm just gonna fucking say this. Every character that you play as has their own story.
Yeah, they got their own story, they got their own gimmick.
But they had their own story. They had their own place in the world. They have their backstory. They have their agendas. They have their desires.
Mm-hmm.
They had their goals. They had things that they liked and things that they don't like.
Yeah. Now some of these characters, I would say at least 3 of them, just no more than 3 of them, it was pretty boilerplate, and that was more like, and those 3 characters were Mog, Go-Go, which, come on, it's a mime character. what story you're going to go with.
He was a complete mystery, and he was a bonus character. He wasn't part of the control team.
Yeah, and Umaro, he's also a bonus character, but his only gimmick was he's basically permanent berserk mode.
Yeah, he was lame.
Yeah, but then again, he's a Yeti. But Mog, I thought...
The Mogis had their own Chewbacca.
Yeah. I think they should have expanded on Mog, in my opinion. I mean,
they should have.
They did what they could, I understand, but like I said, I would say this is me cherry picking, but yeah, if you're gonna have almost every character have their own backstory, why couldn't you do one for Mog? I mean, go into the lore of the movies.
Now, given they give you the choice of either picking up the golden pin or saving Mog, but come on, you gotta save the Mog.
Yeah, of course. I mean, the Mog, in my opinion,
if you're gonna wait 5 minutes for Shadow,
yeah.
And let me put it this way: Shadow will fucking kill you if he's paid to do so.
Mm-hmm.
Mog saved your life for free.
Yeah, no shit. And like I said,
he's still in the game to save you for no benefit on his part.
Yeah, no shit.
The least you can do is save Mog.
Yeah,
I don't give a fuck about the golden pin.
Yeah, you can get
Mog's life.
Yeah, hairpins come and go. As you tell in the game, hairpins do come and go. But yeah. But yeah, Mog in this game, like I said, I wish they expanded on his backstory and get into the lore of the Mughals and what have you.
Oh yeah.
But
because all I understand from Mog is that he's pretty much a cool little creature that basically saves your life at the very start.
Mm-hmm.
He helps you. He basically joins up with the party later on after you saved him from the thief.
Yeah, Lone Wolf.
Yep. He's got this cool ass power where he dance moves.
Yeah, that's a great freaking ability right there.
He was your Geomancer.
Yeah.
And then later on, you'll find him back at home.
Mm-hmm.
And he's only the Mog left.
Yeah, he joins your, and they say he joins your party all willy nilly. Now, again, no
fucking that's at this point. He's the only Mog left.
Yeah, I mean, you could have expanded on his story where you're trying to find his other Moogle buddies, etc. You know.
Yeah.
I wish they could have done that, but I have a feeling there was a lot they were working on with this game, and they had a time frame they had to work under.
Oh yeah.
So.
I think this was their big pony show.
Yeah.
This was their opera opening.
Yeah, this was their magnum opus. I mean, they had I think if they had more time, they would have expanded on that. But
this was their greatest of their Super Nintendo RPGs.
Yeah.
With the only one coming close is Chrono Trigger.
Yeah, I think Chrono Trigger.
And that was because Chrono Trigger was so revolutionary.
Mm-hmm. Now,
I mean, those two were the best of the best.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot about Secret of Mana. Those three.
Yeah, I'm just glad I played the. I'm just glad they finally brought the third Secret of Mana game here to the States, albeit 20 years too late. But I've been playing the fucking translations back in the day, so.
Oh, I'm going to tell you, there's that wall boss in the 3D version.
Yeah.
That fucking thing is a bitch.
Oh, it is, definitely. Ugh. Anyway. Yeah.
Yeah, we'll get back to the point.
Yeah, let's get back on the rails here.
Most of the characters were all richly detailed. I mean, which was your favorite?
My favorite? Ooh, that's a tough one, actually. I'll be honest, this was a tough one. I really can't pick one, to be honest with you.
Mine was the... Oh, man. Who was the knight?
Oh, the samurai? You mean Cyan?
Yeah. Cyan. Damn. he got it rough.
Oh, yeah.
Of his people, he went out and fought for his people, only to eventually find them all die out from poison, including his own family.
Oh, yeah. He fought
Went
hard.
out in a battle rage.
Yeah. That was, yeah, he had it. Yeah, he had, out of all the characters, he had it worse. Then he gets plagued by demons and shit.
Oh, God, yes. And the souls of his family were trying to fucking save his life.
Yeah. But if we're talking about character, let's talk about the man who
Everyone became evil.
Yeah. Let's talk about the man who was responsible for said poisoning. And a lot of other things.
Oh, yeah.
Fucking Kafka.
And before we go into this, let me tell you about the fucked up history of Kefka that I learned so far.
Oh, yeah.
Basically, as a child, his parents were murdered. So already his innocence in childhood was shattered right there.
Mm-hmm.
And as he was growing in the ranks in the military, he eventually decided to be the first guy to be experimented on with magic.
Mm-hmm.
And he never came back normal again.
Yeah. Yeah, they
So,
fused him with Magitech, and guess what? It snapped his mind, and he basically became the Joker.
Yeah. Basically, we have a guy with a tragic past that already screams, don't let this dude have power because he'll probably fuck it up.
Oh, yeah. And fucked it up he did.
You perform experiments on him, which made him even more of a loose cannon, which made him even more crazy. And the death of his parents pretty much killed his outlook, but those experiments pretty much let it out.
Oh, yeah. But
See, if he didn't had those experiments, he might have been able to contain those notions, or just be the one guy that nobody likes.
yeah, at worst, at best. But you try to infuse it with Magitech, and all of a sudden, oh crap, he wants to destroy the world.
Mm-hmm.
Which he does.
He's the only Final Fantasy villain that actually succeeded at anything.
Mm-hmm. Now,
Let that sink in, Final Fantasy fanboys. Kefka actually pulled it through.
yeah, Seymour didn't come close. Sephiroth, nah, minor league shit. Arden, I think the only other villain that pretty much came close to success, came anywhere close to that success, was Arden Azunia. You gotta play 15.
What game was that? Final Fantasy VIII?
It was 15
Or
actually.
15?
It was
Okay.
15, and like I said, I'll go to my grave saying this. This game this game was good, but it should have been a masterpiece. But
Well, see, I have not played 15 at all because it looked like a boys band journey. I'm like, I'm in my 30s, getting close to 40. I have no time for boy bands.
well, I did play 15. I did play 15, including the Royal version. I thought it was spectacular, but it was spectacular.
So it wasn't
but
like a pretty boy venture.
no. But at the same time, it was disappointing because
So-
it felt it.
When we're done with the show, I'll ask you what was the total party makeup.
It was.
Well, I
only-
don't want to talk about Final Fantasy 15 because we're too busy talking about Final Fantasy 6.
Yeah, but point being is this. Go look. You know Metal Gear Solid 5?
Yeah.
Same can be said about 15, about Final Fantasy 15.
So lots of potential, but it misses marked.
Yeah, it felt incomplete. But getting back to a complete game like 6. Yeah, because of Kefka's little psycho temper tantrum, you play in two worlds. You play in the world of balance in the first half.
And the second world is a world of ruin.
The world of ruin, and the result of Kefka's psycho tantrum.
Which he later became a god.
Yeah. And this is what pisses me off. Why they haven't? This is what. Why haven't you remake this game yet? I mean, you gave 4 a remake. You gave 7 a remake. You're giving remake, but 6. Fuck that game.
Dude, they could have done the War of Magi, which would have been more like Final Fantasy VI, but a whole lot greater.
Yeah, no shit. But I think
the sheer amount of epic scale on that.
Yeah, I think. However, I will say this: the second half of the game is where the game starts getting really good. Because
now you get in everyone's personal hell. You get through your journey, you help them pass through their own purgatory.
Yeah,
and then they finally reach their own heaven. I don't mean that in a literal sense. I mean that in a narrative sense.
Yeah, and
because the lowest points that they are. Fuck.
Yeah, really. Some of them.
Forgetting her name.
Celeste
tried to commit suicide.
Well, actually, you can avoid that situation where she makes a suicide attempt.
If you manage to keep Sid alive, but I don't. All the times I play, I don't know how I do it. I keep going for the quick, fast fish because those are the healthy fish.
Quick, fast fish.
Still dies. Huh?
Well, you gotta get them. Here, the key here is you have to get the quick, fast fish, but you don't visit Sid a lot. You don't keep going back. You only come back when you get the fish.
Well, that's what I keep doing. I go
know.
give him fish. I go back. Get the quick fish. Get back. Feed him. I only come back to feed him fish.
That's weird. Well, because
he still died.
Because I did this quite a few times, and he survived.
I gotta see how you do that because apparently, with my fucking luck, he always dies, even though I go for the quick fish.
Yeah. I think you probably would. You probably do it. You probably look up a playthrough on YouTube, see how someone else did it. Because
I always hear you can actually keep him alive. I'm like, okay, this has got to be alive because every time I try to keep him alive, no matter what I do, he dies.
Yeah. But anyway, I think what you have to do is you got to check the inventory because sometimes some of these fish like to fool you. I think you have to check your key items. Say if it says yummy fish, don't want to do that. But a lot of trial and error with that segment. But
I gotta go look at the inventory.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think you inventory into your key items, I believe. But
so in inventory, key items.
If it says a yummy, something like a yummy fish or something like that, then I think yeah. So.
Okay, that probably would have been it. That's probably the reason why.
But anyway,
I never thought about doing that.
Yeah.
So what was the quick fish to feed him? Just say fish?
No. It doesn't say yummy fish in the inventory. I'm talking about the item description.
Oh.
Yeah. But anyway, so, getting back into this, the game becomes very open-ended at this point. This is where you start taking up all your side quests. You try to get you try to get the party back together, but there's also an option that I'm surprised that you can actually go to the final dungeons the minute you get your airship back.
Which, as cool that is, we highly suggest you don't.
Yeah, unless you're a glutton for punishment or you min-max the fuck out of your characters.
Yeah, don't do final boss till you're at least what, level 50.
But I've heard of people trying to do. But it would make an idea for a challenge though. Like,
It would make an awesome challenge, but considering all the enemies there and the bosses,
yeah,
especially that invincible tank.
Oh, Guardian, oof.
Yeah, you finally get to fucking kill off Guardian. Even though all your prior visitations with Guardian ended up with you dying.
Yeah, you couldn't even put a dent in it.
Nothing could put a dent in that.
Yeah.
It was the fucking Bane Blade of our existence in Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah, it was like it was basically like goddamn Metal Gear.
It's like, what the fuck is this? Why haven't they beaten the world?
You know what I think? You know what I think it is? The Guardian tank and at Vector. It was very. I think that tank wasn't so mobile. Some tells me they probably airlifted some of the. It's probably that tank didn't even move at all. It was just like one of those howitzers.
But then it shows up. It shows up to the Magi Island with all the blue mages.
Oh, Tamaza. You know my theory is about that one. I think some of the Magitech soldiers were towing one of them. So that's my theory, though.
I'm just saying, holy shit, those tanks.
Yeah, I'm surprised they don't become like a.
I'm surprised only one survived.
Yeah, I'm surprised they
I'm
didn't get.
God.
Yeah, I hope for Final Fantasy in like Final Fantasy 14 that they haven't done that already, because I just started on Storm's Blood. I hope they have a rendition of the Guardian in that game, though.
Oh God, they definitely need to bring it out.
Imagine how badass it would look.
Bring that back if they haven't, because that would be like, what the fuck is this? And then I'm gonna bring out my Final Fantasy VI loving ass because I'm close to Boomer. I'll be like, welcome to Final Fantasy VI, bitches.
Welcome to hell.
The Dark Souls of the series. Have fun.
It wasn't really Dark Souls, but I mean.
Okay, yeah, you're right. It's more like Majora's Mask.
Yeah.
Because it was actually dark, but in an in-depth, in-character way. Because like I said, in the second world, everyone goes into their own personal hells. Mm-hmm. They go into their own personal purgatories, and they reach their own heavens.
Yeah, you basically had to bring the entire party back from a literal hell.
For Cyan, it was pretty spiritual. Yeah. Literally.
Yeah, you bring everyone back from their own personal hells, and then you basically try to bring the world back from hell.
Oh yeah.
And again, if you min-max the motherfucker, that shouldn't. By the time you get to the final dungeon, that shouldn't be too tough of a task.
Oh my god, that final battle with Kefka. Holy shit.
Yep.
Each phase of that boss was actually part of the Divine Comedy.
Uh-huh.
Made by Dante.
Yeah. But I think
first phase is basically the hell phase. Second phase, purgatory. Third phase, heaven.
Mm-hmm.
And then you reach up to God, which is now Kefka.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of an allegory for the second half of the game, basically. The first half is the first half. I would say the World of Balance segment was sort of like how the world got to hell.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
The world got to hell because the Empire fucked up.
Yeah.
And they elected very bad leaders to do their jobs.
Same as our world. Oh, God.
Yeah, let's hope they don't find magic and actually blow up the world.
Yeah, I wonder what the equivalent of the war...
Can you imagine this...
Imagine if the Warring Triad existed in our world.
Well, I'm just saying, can you imagine the Sniffer interfere and cheat. Basically, becoming a god and destroying the world at the same time.
Oh God.
I don't think
a god that's not in
for that shit.
a god that wasn't in his right mind, or better yet, the puppet master turned into god, and old Brandon was basically Gestalt. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I mean,
No, I think we're becoming hard. So, and by hard I mean hard news.
yeah, I don't want, yeah, but it's like. But it's like you compared that to any sort of like weird, any sort of like end of the golden age type storyline, and it's like, or I mean, it's like everything from even our history, like the fall of Rome, or the
I would say
or
Final Fantasy X is deep.
Yeah, or Weimar Germany, Because,
I mean, when you actually consider everything involved, Kefka committed so many war crimes. Well, basically, he committed the ultimate crime of all. Worldwide, he tried to commit the ultimate genocide.
Yeah, and why did he
wipe everyone out? If it wasn't for the party, he would have succeeded.
Yeah, and his motives for doing that? He's just addicted to chaos and death.
Well, at this point, he was pointing out nothing fucking matters anyway. So
yeah, his mind was completely gone by the end of the game. You know?
Oh yeah.
And basically what you
If
had.
they ever do a remake, they have to show Kefka completely transforming and looking like some demonic angel.
Yeah, really. Because at the end of the game, he becomes to the point where he's become a rabid dog, and you need to old yeller his ass.
Yeah.
Except
this is the most scheming fucking character in the entire Final Fantasy series.
Yeah, really. And the problem is,
I'm not saying all his schemes succeeded, but this dude is a schemer. He has cunning. He has intelligence. It's just everyone thinks he's a joke until that moment when he really fucking snapped and just took over everything.
Mm-hmm.
At that point, no one was laughing.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, it's sort of the same path as the Joker, if you really think about it.
Oh, he was Final Fantasy Joker.
Pretty much.
And I'm surprised Mildred isn't here.
Uh-huh. Well, he's doing his interviews.
On this.
Oh, definitely. But yeah, if you haven't played Final Fantasy VI, folks, what the fuck are you doing? What the fuck are you doing with your life? Go find an emulator, go play it.
We could talk another hour on this.
Yeah, but we don't
want
to.
That's really weird, because it's his show.
Yeah. It was a lot. There's a lot more you can get to. We can talk about the items. We can talk about some of the characters. I mean, there was I think one of the best gameplay elements was that part when Locke had to go back to South Figaro and basically had to Metal Gear his way a back.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That would have been the perfect time to use the Final Fantasy II password system.
Mm-hmm.
And plus the disguises.
Okay.
Why did they ever bring that back?
Not to my knowledge.
They should have.
I agree. They should. I mean, there's places where Final Fantasy VI can improve on. I mean,
and they should have brought that back multiple times during the Final Fantasy VI.
Yeah. Now,
I mean, it would be perfect for Vector.
Mm-hmm.
Since you're supposed to be sneaking into the building, with the party I brought, which was Edward, the Prince of. It's a long name. It starts with an F.
Oh.
But you know what it is.
Edgar? You mean Edgar?
Yeah, Edgar.
Edgar was fucking badass.
Edgar was indeed badass.
Yeah.
He couldn't get the ladies, but he was indeed badass.
Well, he could get the
His
ladies,
tools,
just not the party members.
his tools were awesome.
Yeah, chainsaw, drill. Those two were my favorites. Especially the point where you can inflict instant death on somebody. He busts out the hockey masks.
Oh yes.
But the thing was, yeah.
Oh God, yes.
Yeah. But the thing is, a lot of misconception is Jason isn't associated with a chainsaw at all. I mean, they always confuse him with Leatherface, because when you think Jason from the Friday the 13th series,
yeah, you think machetes, you think axes. Jason kills you whichever way he can.
Yeah, but his favorite is the machete.
He actually what was that? Hot ice? What's it called?
Liquid
he nitrogen?
Shoved
that woman into the liquid.
Liquid nitrogen?
Yeah. He froze her face solid and then smashed it against somebody.
Smash it. Oof, yeah. That was serious shit, man.
Best kill in the entire movie.
Nah, the best one was the sleeping bag kill. The sleeping bag kill, I think, was the best one. But anyway, getting off topic. In fact, but like I said, folks, do get this game if you got to experience this shit for yourself if you've not played it. You could probably get that. You definitely get it on and you could probably get the PC version on Steam. But I think they're going to do a pixel remaster coming out soon, which without all the add-ons. But I would say pick up the PC version, not the pixel remaster. I mean, pick up the pixel remaster too when it comes out. But the PC version, it has all the advanced shit in it. And I'll be honest with you, some of the advanced shit in Final Fantasy VI, compared to 4 and 5, it felt lacking in my opinion.
Yeah, Final Fantasy got fucked.
Yeah, I don't know what the studio's problem with 6 was. You know what I think
I can
it is?
understand when they go for improving on Final Fantasy and releasing episodes and different editions of Final Fantasy 7, because that's their main cash cow. That's the popular one.
Yeah.
But Final Fantasy 6 is the second popular one.
Yeah. What I think it is? You know what I think it is? They figure it's a masterpiece. Why improve on it?
I hope that's what they're thinking.
Yeah.
I hope that's the idea, but
yeah, either that or they're just being lazy.
Yeah.
I mean, the thing,
like I said, the characters, even the side characters.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not talking about the bonuses. I'm talking about the NPCs.
Yeah.
Even they have death.
Yeah, no.
I mean, the art collector.
Oh, Owzer?
Yeah, the art collector in that rich city.
Yeah, the rich city is called Jitter.
He started out as a normal guy that collected art. And then when you get to the ruin world, he basically transformed to a monster due to his obsession with art.
Yeah, I mean, he...
Given a non-hostile monster, but a monster nonetheless.
Yeah. Hold on a second. I think he always looked like that. Hold on. Let me look it up. Because the guy you meet in, I think, in the World of Balance, it's the same guy, I believe. I mean, you don't meet him
in the World of Balance. He looked human.
Well, I don't think you meet him at all in the World of Balance. But I think you only end up meeting him in the World of Ruin, because he was basically like I think what they're trying to do in the World of Balance, that they always talk about Owzer, but the thing was he resembled like Howard Hughes. He was sort of like the Howard Hughes character of the game. And what happens is later, I think later on in the game, he doesn't look, according to this, he wasn't like really a monster. It's just just a big fat motherfucker.
Either way, there was a lot of depth with him too.
Yeah. He bought a stone he basically bought a stone, and then it inspired Rome to paint a picture of one of the Espers, Lakshmi. But unfortunately, that painting got fucking possessed.
Yep. I don't know if it was because of his obsession.
Yeah, hold on a second. It's a demon possessing a painting of an Esper Lakshmi, and apparently, I think it was inspired by. I think they did a sort of a similar. I think they did a similar thing over another. Oh, it wasn't Final Fantasy 15. Because they did the same shit in Final Fantasy 15.
So people, Final Fantasy 15 pretty much borrowed everything else from the Final Fantasy series.
Yeah, not as much as 14 though. 14 borrowed a lot.
Well, yeah, but I am saying, 14 is basically carbon copy of all the previous Final Fantasy games merged together.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, you got Matoya, you had a lot of elements from 6, you had a lot of elements from 4, a lot of elements from 3, especially the damn Crystal Tower segment. Jeez.
Meanwhile, I'm trying to make a fucking Final Fantasy game that's similar to Final Fantasy 1, but with the aesthetics of early Final Fantasy 10 levels.
Well. But yeah. But like I said, that's like again. I mean, there's so much shit we can go over on this game, but but like I said, it would take all night for us to go into it. But like I said, you haven't played it, go get it. That's it. Go get that shit.
Yeah.
Go play that shit.
Yes, play it.
Mm-hmm.
Please.
Yes. Okay, I think with that said, I think we can call this show a wrap for this week. Because
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I think we covered a lot of ground.
I could spend one talk about this, but I don't know about you. I'm pretty sure you got work to do tomorrow.
Yep. Yeah, there's a lot of things I gotta do, and plus yeah, I got that job that only paid me like fucking crazy about it. But luckily, things on my end. Let's just say there's a hope spot in the horizon. I just hope it doesn't turn out to be another mirage. But
well, I hope so too. I mean, it's got to be better than what you had in Florida.
Well, believe me, if the whole Florida thing worked out, believe me, I'd probably be a lot. I'd probably have
you'd be probably drinking coconuts.
Yeah, and I probably would have had my car fixed and brought there. God,
yeah.
But anyway.
I mean, your biggest threat would have been alligators in your pond or something like that.
Yeah, really. So anyway, we'll talk about what's coming down the pike. Well, Monday, I'm gonna continue. It's gonna be the continuation of Hyper Metroid. Hey Snow, have you seen the playthroughs yet, man?
I've seen part 1, but I haven't seen part 2 because of power outage.
Oh yeah,
I told you about that one. I'm like, yeah, I was about to watch it, everything was ready, and then,
blammo. Yeah.
What the fuck is this?
But yeah, so yeah, it'll be the continuation of Hyper Metroid. Now, I did another test run of Hyper Metroid. I got a little bit further in my test run save, so it won't be as cold. But But after that, I'm probably gonna go the rest of the way cold at that point because I don't want to.
Well, yeah.
Because the funny thing was in part 2 of the playthrough, I got a little lost, but I did get everything pretty much.
That's what happens in Metroid. You're supposed to get a little lost.
Yeah, but yeah, we'll be playing through that. Hopefully, but of course, I'm sure the hell fucking Wabbajack's gonna bury my shit. But of course, next Thursday we're gonna set the tent back up, and we're gonna go back to our usual format.
Yo, before you finish it up,
Yeah.
after Hyper Metroid, I'd like to see some Sympathy of the Night played.
Symphony of the Night. That might be a good idea in the future, but I don't want to. But I'm thinking of something else. Something that doesn't require.
Look it up.
I don't know. I'll have to think about it. But I got a few games in mind. But I want to keep it old school.
All right.
But because I like to explore other shit, you know, like there could be another game. There could be a game that'll probably will take like one stream, and that'll be it. But anyway, of course, Thursday we're gonna set the tent back up again. We're back to our usual format. Hopefully, everybody will be showing up there, and a little hint about next week's show. Tell me something. What the fuck is going on in Kentucky? Jesus Christ, you'd expect something like that to happen in California of all places, but Kentucky? Oh God, someone needs to take a Flammenwerfer to that fucking place.
Oh yeah.
But we'll get in depth.
There needs to be a crusade.
Yeah, we'll get into that. Plus, of course, I'll also cover the a lesson in why I believe firearms training should be mandatory for Hollywood actors. Because if John Wick, if Keanu Reeves and Will Smith can do it, what's your fucking excuse? Jesus Christ, these people, you know? But
what the fuck was Alex Baldwin thinking?
Oh God. Not just him, but the rest of the fucking crew. They're a bunch of morons.
Yeah,
but we'll be talking about that next week.
This is really stupid or something's fishy.
Yeah, we'll be talking about that next week because the story's developing. The story is fucking developing. It's also with the Kentucky thing. But with that said, thank you, Snowman, for coming in tonight, man.
You're welcome.
Yeah, and those of you watching on stream or watching in the video replay, I'd like to thank you for coming in this week. Now, if you enjoy this program, I ask you to please like, subscribe, ring that bell, and spread the word because you know damn well Wabbajack's gonna bury my ass. And yes, I also will have the replays up on Odyssey and Rumble, and the links will always be on the description. So until once again we set up the tent, God bless you. Please take care of yourself, and hey, it's a nasty one we're living in, so please, I implore you, be careful out there. Mad Shogun